Overpromised with Covino Rich.
Yeah, another bonus pod with your buddies Covino and Rich.
Action-packed week, huh? We filled in for Dan Patrick. You missed it, the Dan Patrick hat trick. Catch it on our podcast. Just search our podcast anyway, Covino and Rich, wherever you stream. But normally we're on Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 on the East, 2 to 4 on the West, Fox Sports Radio. And anytime we do the show, it just means the weekend's here.
No doubt. And it's Passover. It's Easter weekend.
Yeah, happy Easter weekend.
Gotta ask, is it the one time a year you and your family hard-boil eggs and you're like, oh, we'll eat them? And you're like, no, we won't.
That would be extra wasteful this season, right? Eggs are expensive.
You know? But you got to keep that pause company in business, because what do they do other than Easter egg dye?
Are you a Paz guy or a Dudley guy? Lots of Easter brands.
Paz.
And shout out to my peeps. And stay away from those Cadbury crack eggs. They're like crack, those devil eggs. But besides our show, I have one more reminder before we dive into the fun. Overpromised. We're having our CRC, a big party, Covino and Rich convention in Vegas. Everybody watching is invited. This is your invite. June 20th through the 22nd in Vegas. And if you can only make it one day, the 21st, we're having one big party and live broadcast and all that. But the 20th through the 22nd in June, we hope to see you there. Bring some friends and join us. Details to come at Covino and Rich at Fox Sports Radio on social media.
There'll be food. There'll be drinks. There'll be partying.
It'll be fun.
There'll be hookers. Well, I'm kidding. No.
Just kidding.
But no, it's going to be a lot of fun. Look at that artwork. Welcome, Covino and Rich celebrating.
But on today's show, again, the stuff we can't fit into our regular show, we'll talk some baseball cards, throw it back on this Thursday. We'll talk some fun bets, right? How to get into the season, make it more fun. But we're going to start it off with Travis Hunter.
Oh, yeah. There's a story. And listen, you could say this is BS. And this kid's going to play no matter what. He's a star.
Superstar.
But the question came about, what if a team drafts you and says, hey, buddy boy, you can't play both sides of the ball. We're going to pick offense or defense. We're not doing this both sides of the ball craziness.
And if anyone says, well, what about Ohtani? I mean, football's so much more of an exhausting and physical sport and more dangerous. So you got to pick a side. Stop being greedy, man.
You could argue he was, full of shit when he said this, but he goes, well, maybe it'll mean I'll never play football again because I've been doing it my whole life and I love being on the football field. I feel like I could dominate on each side of the ball, so I really enjoy doing it. And on the surface, people are saying it feels like, like idle chatter, but they're saying he's serious, that he's talked to teams and said, if you draft me, I don't want to be a one-side guy.
Well, I love the attitude. I love what he's saying, but it just doesn't seem possible. It also seems like it'll cut his career shorter, right? But I think seems like too much.
Teams could, drop some packages where he's on the offense, but also, defenders, not every play calls for him to be on the field.
Oh, bam. That's it. It'll be a little combination, a little hybrid of both. I'm cool with that. In fact, high five, because that's the answer, and it's National High Five Day, everybody.
And we all know the origin, right? We talked about it on our show earlier on Fox Sports Radio. Glenn Burke, Dusty Baker, 1977.
High five.
High five.
They invented the high five, became a thing. So based on the whole Travis Hunter story, by the way, shout out to Travis Matthew. Look at this bad boy right here. Travis Matthew, the MLB collection. Let's go Yankees.
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, but back to Travis Hunter. It got us thinking about the greatest athletes of all time. Not just the greatest two-way players, just the greatest all-out athletes. But you have to start off with the guy I referenced before. Well, Ohtani plays both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
He's the current-day Babe Ruth. He is automatically in this conversation. But then again, like I said, baseball, much different than football. He's one of the best to ever do it. He's playing like a little leaguer in the big leagues.
Did you see the home run he hit last night? At Dodger Stadium against the Rockies. This thing may have gone out of the stadium. Right field, the guy hits bombs. And then you forget, when he's ready to pitch again, he's a Cy Young candidate. It's something we've never seen before. So when people say, him and Babe Ruth, I think it's more elite than Babe Ruth. Back then, Babe Ruth was playing against other fat white guys. Ohtani is playing a global game now and proving it on both sides of the ball.
Ohtani can't eat hot dogs the way the baby ate hot dogs.
Maybe that's the only thing.
But Ohtani is in this conversation, then automatically your mind goes to one of the greatest athletes of all time. We were honored to watch him, and he was great in two different sports, probably great in everything. Bo knew everything.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson is automatically in this conversation. We all had that poster, and he transcended fandom because I wasn't a Royals fan. I wasn't a Raiders fan. I was a Bo Jackson fan. We all were.
We all were. And you know what? It's the shame of it is that because he never won a championship or an MVP, a lot of people say younger generations will never be aware enough of how great
But that's
Bo
our job.
Jackson was.
That's our job as adults and as parents to pass on the info. That's why we're bringing it up here. But again, there's a lot of people that played more than one sport, but he was great at baseball and football, an all-star in both.
Can I also just say that we're keeping this to contemporary athletes because I know when we're done with this, there's going to be guys who are like, what about Jim Thorpe and Jim Brown? I'm not talking about people like from our parents and grandparents' days. I'm talking about likely more in our lifetime.
I will let you know what ChatGPT said because I did ask right before we started.
Now we're going AI on
Yeah. So what does ChatGPT say about it?
Well, how about primetime Deion Sanders? We're about to see his kid join the NFL. But what about him? When he made a difference in the NFL, whether it was on the Cowboys or the Niners, and then playing baseball, Braves, Yankees, he played a bunch of places. So
just an amazing career, an amazing athlete, and speed kills. It killed on the diamond. He was hitting inside the park home runs and, scoring touchdowns. He did it all, and he did it all on the same day sometimes. So legend when it comes to great athletes.
And a lot of times when you think about our childhood, 80s and 90s, we talk about Bo Jackson, primetime Deion Sanders. There's a guy that gets left out of this conversation, and it's a damn shame because while he wasn't their star level, Brian Jordan.
It's amazing.
I remember thinking wait, you mean the Brian Jordan from the Braves is also the Brian Jordan he was on the Falcons at one point, right?
He was on the Bills and the Falcons. I take a lot of pride in bringing this up because he's so often left out of the conversation. Guy played for the Cardinals, the Braves, the Dodgers, and the Rangers, but he was a Bill and a Falcon. What an amazing career.
Yeah.
You can't be left out of this conversation if you're talking about great athletes because he did it in all these places at a really high level. Yeah, he wasn't Bo Jackson, but what an amazing guy, now, Brian Jordan.
The next one is interesting to me because this is rarely seen. I remember this being such a cool thing. All right, this guy was an elite college quarterback. That's how most people remember him. But then he opted, I don't think my game will translate to the NFL. Hey, but you know what? I think I could play in the NBA. And that was Charlie Ward. You might say Florida State, or do you think New York Knicks? Because
New York Knicks.
What a wild story he had.
He also played for the Rockets and the Spurs. But yeah, he was an NBA player. Superstar college football quarterback and belongs in this conversation. Some of these names aren't brought up enough. And then it brings me to other names that just have to be mentioned if we're going to talk about the greatest athletes
this is your favorite fun fact.
It is. I mean, not many athletes were drafted in more than two sports. Dave Winfield drafted football, baseball, and basketball and decided to play baseball. You picked the Padres. I picked the Yankees.
I told Spot to pick the Padres just to make you mad.
No.
Because I pictured Dave Winfield.
He actually did.
With those mutton
I was going
chops.
for the Yankees.
And I always thought Dave Winfield was so big that even the clubhouse didn't have the proper size because I felt like he always had a snug jersey. And I'm like, I think it's because he's just so damn big and ripped.
And another former Yankee, John Elway has to be brought up because it's crazy when you think about he could have been in the lineup with Don Mattingly playing right field. How insane is that?
It's interesting because if you watch the docuseries 30 for 30 on ESPN, the one where it was from Elway to Marino, when John Elway said, hey, listen, I'm not going to play for the shitty Baltimore Colts, Baltimore at the time. If you draft me, I'm not playing football. I'm going to go play for George Steinbrenner in the Bronx. And then, of course, he ended up on the Broncos. But there was a time where John Elway was scheduled in the lineup as a Yankee.
Amazing. Got to mention Tom Brady, not just the football player, the Montreal Expo.
Because I always thought that was great how Tom Brady had some baseball skills. In fact, his siblings, all his sisters were great softball players. Yeah. So Tom Brady was just an all-around athlete. And it was cool to see that, he loves signing those Expos cards at shows and stuff.
And most recently, you see his love of baseball when he's showing off his baseball card collection and all that. He had all the same cards we had. And who else comes to mind, Rich? Russell Wilson, maybe?
Yeah, I would say you got to throw Russ. And we could zip past Russ and then, of course, Kyler Murray, two NFL quarterbacks that we both know that could have played baseball had they opted. Kyler Murray, Arizona Cardinals, could have been in Oakland A.
But a longer path. That's really what it was and what it came down to.
And Russ, we all know, was a baseball player. He took some BP at Yankee Stadium. He was in the Cubs system, I believe, right? So
yeah, and paying homage to Bo Jackson right there. And before we started this conversation, I quickly, again, based on this whole Travis Hunter conversation, I went to ChatGPT and I said, who is the greatest athlete of all time? And I was like, oh, fun debate. And aside from a lot of the names that we already mentioned, here's some that we left out. Michael Jordan came up, Serena Williams, Bolt, Biles, and it does say Jim Thorpe, Rich, and you referenced that.
Jim Thorpe,
Olympic gold, pentathlon winner, decathlon winner. He played pro football, baseball, and basketball. But I did find it interesting that a lot of the names we discussed, including those, were mentioned, but no LeBron.
Poor LeBron.
Yeah, I guess ChatGPT not a fan of LeBron. We know where they stand.
He could have been a tight end in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
Jerry Jones said open contract whenever he wants.
But this Travis Hunter story still developing, could be cool, and I like that he's so adamant about playing both sides. His heart's in the game, clearly.
Let me ask you, you have a daughter who's big into the cheer scene.
Yeah.
Do you feel like one sport athletes is the rage now?
That's a constant debate just on parenting alone. It's like, do you spread your kid thin and try all different things, or do you put their focus on one sport?
It's really
such
interesting.
a tough debate.
And by the way, I'll go back to what Spot just put up. The GM of the Cleveland Browns, one of the teams that could be in the running for Travis Hunter, did say he's very Ohtani-like. So maybe Travis Hunter hears that and he goes, all right, Cleveland. I'm sorry. Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani. But Covino, I'm torn with that now as a dad who coaches little kids. If you skip one season, like if I took my daughter out of softball for one season, and here in LA, we play fall ball, summer, winter, spring, everything. I took her out for 1 3-month period to try soccer. She goes back to softball. Those kids have advanced. But then you're like, your kid's not supposed to try everything?
Yeah, it's like, do you want to be well-rounded or really just great at one thing? Or you're focused on one thing. So that is our list of the best just all-around athletes current day. Did we forget anybody? Who do you think is number one? Hit us up at Covino and Rich at Fox Sports Radio.
And 1 week from today, we'll be watching the NFL draft, and we'll see where Travis Hunter ends up. We'll see where Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders and all these young kids play next year in the NFL. All right, now, you're a big baseball card guy. I know you take a pride in your collection.
Yeah, you mentioned my Billy Ripken error card.
You mentioned, love the nub of the bat,
Best one.
face.
Yeah.
You mentioned Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And how Tom Brady was recently showing off his 80s collection, because we're around the same age as Tom. He was showing off his mid-80s cards, like, 85 tops and 84 and 86.
He had those Jose Canseco 87s I saw in there.
Barstool. I'm a big fan of what they do. In fact, next week, I'm pretty sure we're going to have KFC from Barstool on Overpromised. Big Cat, who, one of the biggest dudes in sports media, Big Cat over at Barstool, was doing the opening of an old pack of cards. Now, the question is this. If I told you, Covino, here's a pack of cards from the 80s.
Ooh.
You might have a winner in here, or it could be all bums. This pack of cards, $700.
Just one pack?
We've seen this with like some old granny, like, I found an unopened pack of 1956 tops. And you're like, remember there was a thing where people were bidding like $1,200. Like, would you buy an 80s pack of NBA cards for $700 to $1,000 if there was a chance Michael Jordan was in it?
How much?
$700. Let's say $750 for the pack.
Yeah, I would.
Take that chance.
Sounds exciting. That's a lot of money. I'm not trying to say I'm Daddy Stacks, but for the fun of it, that could be cool. Yeah.
Look at this video. Again, props to Barstool. Big Cat is doing this. He bought a pack. I believe they'll say it there, 86 Fleer, 85 Fleer. Take a look at this unopening of cards.
You're just disgusted with yourself.
He's going one card by one card. Look at this.
What?
Oh my God.
Wait, what is it? Slow.
No way. You got the Jordan rookie?
He fucking pulls the Jordan rookie in mint condition. If it's
Come on.
Wait, let me see.
They say, get a sleeve. Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Put it in a sleeve. Put it in a sleeve. Down. Give me a sleeve.
Man, lucky McAfee's not there because he doesn't have any sleeves.
Holy shit. No fucking way.
So I bring this up because that card,
Fucking God.
if it's a beat up shitty card, it's like 20, 30 grand. Mint condition, $700 to $1 million.
That's incredible.
So
he
he-
obviously has to get it graded. I want to hear the update. I'm surprised he didn't jump out of his seat, though. He was excited. But how do you just sit there?
You hear the one
I
guy
would be
saying,
like,
pass it around. He's like, pass it
oh
around.
my, yeah, like,
Oh,
that is
no way.
wild, man.
So,
I love that.
I know you're a big baseball
That is so
card
cool.
guy, but imagine you get an old pack of cards, and it's like the long shot. And, congrats to Big Cat. That's a pretty
That
cool
is
pull,
a
right?
great moment. Rich wanted to surprise me with that. And you know what? I did see it, but I didn't know what it was all
you're
about. And I
scrolling
scrolled
down.
right past it. That's a good one. Congrats to him. What a pull, man. That's really cool to see. Really cool to see. I love that. But I also love when people find these unopened packs, like they're doing construction at a house and underneath the
wall.
steps or in the wall. There's like a pack from 1952 or 53. And that's pretty awesome. Congrats.
I say this often, and I never stand by my own words. I'm one of those guys that says some shit, but I don't do it myself.
Yeah.
I often say, why not every year of your life, when you're at the pharmacy, Target, Walmart, buy a couple packs, tuck them away somewhere. In 25 years, just for shits and giggles, be like, hey, kid, your son might be growing up, your nephew or someone, be like, Uncle Rich has something insane. Imagine if you did that all throughout the 2000s.
You could do that with lots of stuff. Imagine if you did it with a cell phone.
The original iPhone in its packaging
Yeah, it's worth
is
so
worth
much
like
money.
hundreds of thousands of dollars. So
we just don't have that wherewithal. Usually don't, or maybe just the money, like to spend that extra money
But
on
maybe
it.
it's the
but you could
instant-
do that with some baseball
the
cards.
instant
You're right.
gratification. What if, no, I'm being serious. What if over the last 20 years, you just randomly would pull a card, not pull a pack, don't open it, put it away for later. For all you know, you would have got maybe a Giannis rookie or a LeBron rookie or something. You know what I'm saying?
I do have some boxes still unopened in storage. Maybe I'll bring them in one day.
But with cards,
I don't
or
think
are they
there's
like
anything
they're
of
set? They're
value in
set,
it. No,
probably.
no, of cards. I just don't know if there's anything of value from those years that I have because once it hit like 90, 91, then they really were over mass produced and not worth a lot.
But Danny G, our producer on the day-to-day Fox Sports show, Danny G, when we first started doing the show together, you know he bought me for my birthday a Shohei Ohtani rookie card? And I looked it up, and it's worth like $300 now.
What?
Because when we first started working together, Ohtani was a rookie in Anaheim, and he's like, Rich, I got you this for your birthday. I have it in a case. It's gem mint rated and everything, and I have it right over here.
And you know
Hold
what?
on, I'll show you. Hold on.
That's because they stepped their game up. If you look here, Danny G got me this too. It's a Don Mattingly card, but again, it has a piece of his uniform in it. Topps has those rookie debut cards with the patches, but baseball cards have stepped their game up. So, and that's amazing.
Look what
dude.
I got, courtesy of, I almost dropped it.
That is the
courtesy of our
coolest.
buddy Danny G.
I'll trade you just Mattingly for that Ohtani.
Ohtani rookie, courtesy of Danny G.
Dude, what a gift, huh?
Right?
Yeah, man, I'm jealous now.
That's what I'm saying, though. At the time, probably cost him a couple bucks to be a nice friend.
I'll trade you that Mattingly and this Beavis for that Ohtani.
The Beavis?
And you know
Let
what?
me-
I'll up the ante. Trap Jaw on a Throwback Thursday. Trap Jaw from
He-Man?
He-Man
No,
Masters of
I'll
the
pass on that.
Damn, dude. That sucks.
Now,
Anyway, that's a
Maybe-
great pull. Congrats
maybe,
to Big Cat.
I'll tie it in here. Maybe you could buy it from me if you win your bet. Covino and I have a fun, just Mets-Yankees bet going on this year. We bet handshake $1,000, Mets versus Yankees, who has a better record at
Well,
the
remember,
end of the
there's
season.
a lot of animosity leading into the season with the whole Juan Soto thing. And I'm mad at the Mets and mad at Soto. And we're just like, hey, put money on it. Who has the best record?
Yeah.
And it's $1,000 straight up for the best record. But then
we
you
added-
up the ante.
Then we said for each game, the winning team is better at 100. So let's say the Yankees are 6 games better than the Mets. I'm going to owe this guy $1,600.
And right now, as of now, Thursday, April 17th, Easter weekend is dead even, 11 and
They're
7.
11 and 7.
11 and 7. So it's so cool. But this little friendly bet we made it on the air, people could play along, has really kept me glued even more on what the Mets are doing. And my rooting interest has significantly increased. Now, we're not breaking the glass. When you got action on the games, it's a little more exciting, right?
Then you wonder why I like the action on some NFL football no matter what the game. It just
But
makes it more interesting.
I also think it's been fun for our camaraderie because I'm really rooting against the Mets. I even went to a Mets game with you recently, hoping they lose. And it's got me invested so much more. So just got us thinking about some friendly bets. And coincidentally, today a story broke that Jazz Chisholm and Aaron Judge have a friendly bet amongst each other going on. And they're calling it the home run stolen base bet.
Oh, I'm reporting this to Rob Manfred. I hope they both get suspended and banned from baseball for gambling.
Oh, we didn't say that there was any currency involved. It's a friendly bet.
$5,000 the point. No, but I think this is great. And
Jazz also thinks it should be a stat, though. So that's part of the story that he thinks home run plus stolen bases, HRs plus SBs, should be an actual stat. But if you want to read it, here's the bet that he has with Judge.
he goes, we'll call it the home run SB, and the math is easy. Home runs plus stolen bases. I think I'm beating him right now, says Chisholm. We both got to add them up. You know how they say OPS is on base plus slugging? This is home runs plus stolen bases, you know? And right now, as you speak, I looked it up myself.
Okay.
Jazz has 6 home runs, 4 stolen bases. So he's at 10. Judge, 7 bombs, 2 stolen bases, 9. So he's beating Judge 10-9.
That's fun,
and
man.
I looked up their all-time highs.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge 1 year had a total of 78. And Jazz's all-time combined is 64.
Oh, wow.
So, but that was Judge's 62 home run year.
And by the way, Judge just went 10 games without hitting a home run until yesterday. So it's a fun, friendly bet. And just like it got Rich and I more engaged, I imagine that only helps not only their chemistry, but they want to beat each other. And I think everybody needs that friendly wager, that friendly competition to keep things exciting, to keep it going, pushing yourself to take things further.
Does Ohtani beat everyone in this particular contest by 25?
He would have to. I mean,
but
as
no, by
the
25.
first 50-50 guy, he's like tailor-made for the stat.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is even if these guys, let's say Judge hits 60 home runs, it's like 15, 20 stolen bases. I think Ohtani beats everyone in this category by 25.
Well, hold on, though. And although I think this is a lot of fun amongst teammates, don't you think there is something to be said when you think of all these stupid stats that you can't even follow? Yeah. Don't you think that's a pretty good one? Because those are significant numbers.
Yeah. I'm
if we put so much emphasis on 50-50, shouldn't that be a stat?
You know what stat gets you might say it does get emphasis. I'm a big fan of on-base percentage because sometimes you'll see a guy and you're like, oh, he's batting 285. Nowadays is great in baseball.
Nowadays, that's super.
But if a guy is batting 285, but his on-base percentage is like 300. Guy doesn't get on base. He just
he's not walking
like a guy like Soto. You know, my guy now. You don't love Soto,
no.
But Juan Soto's the guy that even when he's batting 260, somehow his on base percentage is like 430. There's guys that know how to get on base, and I think that's one of those valuable stats that we don't talk enough about. On base percentage. Remember Barry Bonds during his prime years?
Oh my!
He was getting on base like 6 out of 10 times.
He's walking all the time, and when he was connecting, it was out of the park. So amazing to look back and. Thank you guys again for hanging out with us.
Hey, enjoy your Easter. Dye those eggs. See the Easter bunny.
Happy holiday weekend.
And hey, Passover, Easter, enjoy. Arrivederci, baby.
See you in the Overpromised land.
Woo! Later.
Later.